So this week we're looking at how to site and size a PV system. So for siting, that basically involves determining whether or not that's a good fit for PV, photovoltaic. I'm going to use the term PV throughout the course of the presentation just to make it easier. And then sizing, okay, now we've decided that this is a good place to put it. Well, how big does it need to be? How big does the array need to be? How big do our batteries need to be? And how big does our inverter need to be? So we'll look at each of those in detail. And then we might find at the end of this presentation that given the status quo of your average American household, you need quite a big system in order to meet its energy demands. So we'll look at how to mitigate that and how to actually reduce the electrical load and demand and the required energy that you need, so you don't even need that big of a system, which saves materials as well as money. Okay, we'll get right into sizing. So solar energy, specifically solar electric, has become quite a popular thing these days in the kind of green environmental movement. And so everyone wants PV, but the first thing that we should be asking is, well, is my property or is the place that I'm wanting to set it up actually a good fit for using PV? So there are two main things that we're going to run into. The first one is that we have too much shade. So if we don't have a lot of sunlight hitting a certain area, well, it's going to be really tough to actually harvest energy from the area. So if you can't get around, like, you know, I guess in this case you could just cut the tree down, but what if there was a tree that you really like? What if there was an oak or a pecan or a nut tree or some productive tree that you don't like, or just a tree that provides really nice shading? So we'll just have to work around that and then not put a PV system in that area. The second one, so that's for ground mounting systems, and we'll talk about the difference between ground mounting and roof mounting again towards a little bit later. But the other situation you might run into is a steep, difficult, or directionally off roof. So this roof is kind of awkward, it's pretty steep. We could imagine that maybe it's not facing south, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, maybe it's not facing north. So you're going to run into a lot of inefficiencies there. And so maybe in this case we don't want to put it on the roof, and instead we'll decide to look into a ground mounting system. And if that doesn't work either, then, you know, again, it's possible that solar PV just isn't the right tactic to take.